Hey everyone, this is a yoga practice that will allow you to access your vagus nerve, or at least create a feeling of increasing vagal tone in the body. And so the vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve in the body, and it runs from the brain stem all the way to your belly. And as it makes that journey from brainstem to belly, it innervates all of the different major systems in the body. Um, there are two branches to the vagus nerve. So one is going from brain to belly, and then the second branch is going from your belly to your brain. And that is made up of 80% afferent fibers, which means that it's sending all of the sensory information from your body to your brain. So in creating a sense of emotional well-being, the vagus nerve has become very influential and important in understanding how practices like yoga and meditation and conscious breathing can impact your emotional and mental health. And so this practice that we'll focus on today is really allowing ourselves to move just in kind of simple ways that perhaps create a feeling of steadiness or calm or balance by intentionally focusing on the vagus nerve. So we'll begin seated, and I'm just going to shift back to my yoga mat. If you don't want to sit on the ground, you can definitely do this practice in a chair um, or standing, but we will move from seated to all fours, and then we will come up to standing for just a little bit, and then bring ourselves back down to the ground to practice a breathing exercise. But the first piece of this is to do what's called an embodied check-in. And this is a way to gain some information about what your current experience is in your body. It's almost like taking a snapshot of this particular moment of how you feel here and now. So we'll start there, and then we'll do a little practice and a little breath work, and then find ourselves back to maybe quiet and stillness again. So I'll just shift back here, and if you need to, change your orientation in your space, feel free to set up as you need. So once you've decided where you want to be practicing, just find a comfortable seat and truly let it be comfortable. So nothing is grabbing your attention away from the experience of your body. And if you're in a place where you feel comfortable doing so, you can let your eyes close, or even just letting the outer corners of your eyes soften, so that you're not kind of taking in so much information visually. There's just maybe focusing down on a point in front of you with your eyes soft. And to begin this embodied check-in, take a moment to notice, like, to what degree do you feel as though you're inhabiting your body? Just depending on what you were doing prior to the practice may have impacted you in some way where you feel maybe pulled away from your body in some sense. And then bring your awareness to the speed of your mind. So, how are the thoughts coming in? You feel as though your mind is jumping from thought to thought? Or do those thoughts feel spacious? You might even notice the content of the thoughts that are coming in. Is there one thought in particular that you seem to be going over again and again? Or is there a variety of different thoughts? And then notice the depth and rate of your breath. Does the breath feel shallow? Does it feel kind of full and rich and deep? Does it feel hurried, maybe at a quicker pace? Does it feel long and luxurious? And then bring your attention to your nervous system, noticing what the state is of your nervous system. And oftentimes, all of those things are related. So, the content of your thoughts, the depth and rate of your breath might give you a clue as to what the status of your nervous system is in the moment. So, do you feel activated, like ready to do? Do you feel heavy, grounded, lethargic? Maybe somewhere in between. Are you able to perceive sensations that are occurring in your body at this time? So that might be an experience of hunger. Perhaps you've just eaten and you're feeling the movement of digestion. Is there a sensation due to a particular injury in your body? Is there an area of stiffness or tightness? Maybe there's a particular sensation in the body that you would describe in terms of color or temperature, texture. And then finally, noticing what you feel in your abdomen. Is there a tension or a tightness there? Is there maybe a feeling of holding? Or does your belly feel kind of spacious and fluid and soft? So once you have kind of a general sense of what you're experiencing, we're going to do a little bit of movement here. So, right, spinal flexibility is really key to increasing that quality of high vagal tone. And so we'll move the spine in a variety of ways to start to create a little bit more mobility and flexibility. And as you're doing this, really honoring your internal rhythm. So moving at the pace that you want to move, um, knowing that if there's a place in your body that you want to stay for a little bit longer than what I'm guiding. So really feel free to use this time as an exploration to see what's there, to notice the number of movement choices you have available. And then you bring one hand to your chest, one hand to your belly. And start to bring, like you're moving the hands apart. So the sternum lifts. You might feel as though your lower back is extending or drawing in. And then as you exhale, begin to round your spine. So moving the hands as if they could come closer together. Drop your chin toward your chest and then begin to lengthen the spine. We're going to do this movement of extension where the hands are drawing away from each other, and flexion where the hands are coming closer together and your spine is rounding. So this is the opportunity to explore at your own pace. Sometimes moving a little bit more quickly, it feels better than moving slowly, or vice versa. So as you're flexing, rounding your spine, and as you're extending your spine, you can choose to invite the breath to start to coordinate with these two movements. So as you're exhaling, or as you're rounding, you can exhale. And as you're lengthening or extending, you can inhale. Is it possible to sync up the movement and your breath in a way that as you're moving, you're breathing? As you're breathing, you're moving. And do one more round. And then come back to a neutral position of your spine. You can release your arms down by your side, and we're going to start to let the spine just kind of shift a little bit from side to side. So you can feel now this lateral movement rather than the flexion extension. And as you're moving from side to side, almost imagine like your body is a piece of seaweed being pulled by the tide, trying to let it be a little bit more fluid here rather than more linear. You could even think of it as like an undulation. That movement is sort of traveling up lower back, mid back, upper back, and then maybe even your head. And you can just continue to go in this way. If you want to start to explore some movement with the arms, maybe bringing an arm overhead. Just, again, letting yourself kind of just shift from side to side. And there's another opportunity to honor your own inner rhythm. So moving at your own pace, maybe moving a little bit more quickly than my pace, or if that feels right for you, just mirroring the pace that I'm moving. Or even pausing on one side, maybe you notice like, oh, it just feels so good to kind of extend and reach through the fingers, and feel free to do that. Keep going just a little bit longer. And then eventually you can let that movement come back to stillness. Maybe let your hands just come to rest on your thighs for a moment, noticing how that movement has impacted you. And then we'll do one more movement, and this will be a twist. So you can bring your arms out into like cactus arms here. And you're just going to let your spine now twist from side to side. And again, honoring the pace of movement that is required for your body. Sometimes it can be nice if you feel like you want a little bit more energy, you might move a little bit more quickly. Or if you'd rather just kind of really feel the spine articulating into the twist, then maybe allow that movement to be a little bit more slow. And again, if the arms are starting to get tired and you want to just kind of let them do their own sort of thing here, you can let the arms start to play a little bit if you feel comfortable. But still letting your spine twist from side to side. Right. And then eventually letting yourself twist to the right. So your left hand can come down to your right leg. Maybe your right fingertips come back behind you. So taking just this now steady twist. And then twist to the left. So the right hand can come to your left leg. Maybe the left fingertips find the ground behind you. And then come back through center. And now we'll transition to tabletop or all fours. If you wanted or you needed a blanket or something to support your knees, feel free to pause the video and go get anything that would give you a little extra support. So you'll bring your shoulders in line with your wrists, hips in line with your knees. You can either have the tops of your feet pressing down, or you can tuck your toes under. That feels like it gives you a little bit more stability. So we're going to move through those same actions again, but now we're just oriented to gravity in a slightly different way. So as you inhale here, you're going to lift your head, lift your tailbone, right? The collarbones are spreading, and you're really creating this extension through the spine. And then as you exhale, start to push the hands away, find some flexion here, chin can come towards the chest even. And again, start to move at your own pace. So finding your way between what in yoga is called cat and cow. Pushing down into your hands, drawing your chin in, navel hugs in, and then tailbone lifts, collarbones broaden, maybe lifting your skull. And do a few more here. If being on your hands and knees isn't really comfortable, you can continue to do this seated, but also do these shapes standing. And now start to find that lateral movement of your spine. So the spine will move from side to side. You might just feel this kind of in a way where your pelvis is shifting from side to side, your shoulders are moving from side to side, maybe feeling your ribs, your head, your neck could even get into the action. And another opportunity to kind of see how you want to express this shape in your torso. Right. And then just to give your hands, your wrists, your arms a little rest, you can take your knees a little bit wider here and then push your hips back to your heels for child's pose. If you're seated in a chair, you could even just fold forward. You could rest your arms on a desk or a table. See if you can extend your fingers forward. Forehead can come down to the ground. You can stay here. I'm just going to lift my head to talk, but child's pose is an opportunity to kind of take all this outward expression of movement we've been doing. Now, right, there's this natural tendency to kind of want to turn in. Right? You might feel a gentle pressure of your forehead on the ground, and let that really start to release any tension or holding or gripping you feel in your jaw, sides of your neck, maybe even the tops of the shoulders. Good. And then come back up to tabletop. And we'll do one more thing here. So keeping your left hand down on the ground, take your right arm out to the right, and you're going to thread your right arm underneath your left arm, reaching the right shoulder blade away from your spine. So starting to twist underneath your left arm, and then take your right arm back out. And we'll do that 2 more times. So threading the right arm under the left, and then reach your right arm back up towards the ceiling. And then last time, then lower your right hand down. We'll switch sides. So left hand can come out to the left. And then thread your left arm under, reaching. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Good. And then come back to tabletop. Take your knees wide. Right, come into child's pose one more time, or again, if you're seated in a chair, you can fold over your legs or rest your head on a desk or a table. And bowing once more, just letting your attention shift inwards. Right, so another way we can increase vagal tone is to have these opportunities to increase and decrease our heart rate. So that ability to feel the activation, to notice when we're moving and breathing, but then to contrast that with a pose like child's pose, where we come into stillness, right? The activity is decreased. We can connect to breath maybe a little bit more intentionally. And then from here, I'm going to have you come up to standing. And as you come up to stand, you can take your feet apart, maybe just like a little bit wider than hips width distance. Step forward a little bit. And then let your arms just start to kind of sway from side to side. So this is more of a qigong exercise. So you might even let your hands kind of just like gently tap your body as they sway. So I'm not really using any muscular engagement through the arms. They are just kind of swinging from side to side. Maybe allow the knees to bend just a little bit so that you're not super stiff in the legs. And this one, it's sort of hard to connect breath and movement. So just do sort of what feels natural to you. And then eventually allow that movement to come back to stillness. Great. And then we're going to do a little side to side as well. So you can sweep the right arm up overhead and start to arc over to the left to find that lateral movement of the spine. And then come back up through center. And as you do so, bringing the right arm down, left arm comes up. And now you can take that movement side to side. And once more, noticing kind of that natural rhythm of breath and movement, right, that honors what you need, what you feel. And then slowly come back up to neutral position. So here, lift your shoulders up to the ears, bring the tips of the shoulder blades together, and then feel your shoulder blades glide down your back. You can do a couple shoulder rolls, shoulders up, they can move together, and then down. One more. And now reverse the order. So shoulder blades come together, up, forward, and down. And then from here, you can come down onto your back. So again, lying down on your back, or if you want to just come back to a seat or sitting in a chair. You might want to take some sort of pillow or blanket to support your head. And as you come down onto your back, a couple of options. You could either keep your knees bent. The feet can be bent hip width distance apart, and then you can let the inner knees knot together. Or you can extend your legs long. Arms can come to rest by your side. And so choose the position that you feel the most comfortable in, particularly for your lower back. Sometimes keeping the knees bent is a little bit more conducive if you tend to have a little bit of feeling of compression in the low back. And so one other way that we can increase vagal tone is to focus on the exhale and to really make the exhale long and slow, which can ultimately slow down your heart rate. So it's important to kind of remember when you're doing any sort of, in yoga, it's called pranayama, any sort of breathing practice, that you truly pay attention to how that practice is impacting you. So if you feel like it, instead of creating a sense of calm and your heart rate, isn't lowering, that if you feel a little bit more anxious, then just forget the breath practice and let your breath come to its normal pattern for you. Or you just skip it altogether. The first thing I want you to do is see if you can just allow the breath to be full and conscious, and let the breath flow in and out of your nose. And then we'll add a breath count onto the inhale and to the exhale. And to start, we'll inhale to a count of 4 and exhale to a count of 8. But if after a round or two you feel that that's either too short, maybe you want to go a little bit longer, or it's too long, you can take that count a little shorter. See if you can try to let your exhale kind of be double the length of your inhale. So take a normal, natural breath in and a normal, natural breath out. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let your breath return to a normal, natural pattern. And take a moment to just notice how that breath pattern resonates with you. So if you're in a place where you can continue to rest, maybe give yourself another 5 minutes or so to just be here without having to do any movement or any giving any attention to breath, and to really just receive the benefit of your practice. But if this is all the time that you have, then I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for practicing.